Hello, 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 all you beautiful people, dear brother, dear sister, dear community. Welcome. Warm welcome to everyone who's joining us right now via Facebook Live. And also warm welcome to everyone who's listening to the recording later. Thank you. Thanks for showing up and thanks for coming with an open heart to listen and to grow and to learn. Whatever the beautiful speaker here who are with me tonight and also singers with us tonight, whatever they are sharing, thanks for taking it in. I'm Annika. My medicine name is Dancing Blue Dragonfly Woman, and I have the honor to host this beautiful event tonight. So before we start, I want to invite you that you make sure that you're comfortable. Maybe you're sitting, probably you're sitting, maybe lying, standing, whatever, but make sure that you're comfortable in a comfortable space. And let's get present and calm our busy mind. Maybe it was a hectic Sunday for you. Maybe you're thinking already, oh, tomorrow is Monday. But for now, it doesn't matter. So try to be present here. So what, in my point of view, always helps is just to breathe with, that you're really breathing, that you're feeling the breath. So I would like to that we are taking 3 deep breaths together. And on the out breath, you're releasing everything which is not serving you anymore. And to make that even more powerful, you can do some sound on your exhalation. Okay, let's do that together. If you want, you can even shake a little bit your body. Okay, here we are. So, what happened so far? Why are we here together tonight? So, everything starts with a vision, right? So, my beautiful, incredible shamanic sister and also teacher, Misha Reed, Dancing Heart Spirit Woman, she had this download a couple of weeks ago to create this beautiful summit where medicine men, medicine women, practitioners, healers have the platform to share their knowledge, to share their wisdom. And this is so incredibly valuable. For me, it's always valuable, but especially in these times. So therefore also we have this title because these times are quite hectic for all of us worldwide, so it's stressful and we don't know what's happening and we are a lot in the unknown. And therefore, in my point of view, it's so very valuable to get some beautiful and valuable input. So this is the second episode of this summit, Medicine for This Time. The first one was last Sunday, which was also such a beautiful weekend to start with this incredible medicine. It was Solstice. We had this amazing star constellation, and on Sunday was even Father's Day. So don't worry if you missed it. It's not a problem. You can still listen to the recording on our Facebook page. But let's get back to the present. So tonight, warm welcome to all our beautiful, amazing speaker and to the singer, Ruth. Thank you very, very much for following the calling and for being here with us tonight. And I know it's can be quite, you need some courage to step up, to say like, yes, there is something I want to share, and I shared with the people. And especially with this platform, also for me now, I'm speaking to you, but I'm not really seeing you, so, and some of us are more techies and others not. So thank you very, very much for stepping into your courage and for being here. Pay tribute for showing up. Thank you, beautiful speakers, and Ruth, our singer for tonight. And thank you so much for the tech support for us, for Gordy, for Michelle. Without this technology people around us who are managing here us through the evening, we wouldn't be here. So thank you for that. And thanks for the internet, actually, hey? Like trees connect via the Wood Wide Web. We humans connecting more and more these days via the World Wide Web. And of course, I would prefer to see you guys in person. But isn't that amazing that people from other continents can be with us at the moment at the same time. I think it's quite beautiful. Okay, good. Before we start, I would like to honor and call in the 7 directions. I will share a screen with you. O Spirit of the East, place of the rising sun, the mental realm, place of air, the winds that blows across the lands, the winds that brings new beginnings, the wind that brings about clarity, the breath of life, the place of enlightenment and illumination, new day, new cycle, of open horizon, the place of being mindful, the place where dreams take action. We call upon the winged ones, the great eagle and the hawk, the condor and the vulture. Teach us to fly wing to wing with great spirit. We call upon the wisdom of the great owl. We call forth the fairy realms, the dragons and the dragonflies. Teach us to see through illusion. Spirit of the East, element air, we are grateful for the blessings and assistance. We welcome you to presence into our circle, our home. O Spirit of the South, place of the noonday sun, the spiritual realm, the place of passion, creation and inspiration, the truth and innocent of the child, the spark of life, the fire within. Ignite our hearts with love. Let us be more connected to our body. Let's move, let's play, let's explore. We call upon the four-legged ones, the mouse and the coyote. The coyote, the trickster, who teaches us not to take life too seriously. And we call forth the great serpent. The snake teaches us to shed the past as easily as shed the old skin. The snake teaches us transformation. Spirit of the South, element fire, we are grateful for the blessings and assistance. We welcome your presence into our circle. Aho. O Spirit of the West, place of the setting sun, the emotional realm, the energy of autumn's bountiful harvest, represents the death of summer cycle, place of water, the great flow of the waters of life, the rivers, the lakes, the ponds, the rain, the underground springs, the great oceans, our drinking and bathing water, our blood and all the water of our bodies. We call upon the swimming ones. Teach us about flowing with life, about the great cycle of living with emotions of desire, fear, anger, and sadness. Teach us that our emotional life is like the wetness that feeds the seeds of our growing soul. And we call forth the great bear, this majestic animal who goes into its cave for reflection and introspection. That is such a valuable time. Spirit of the West, element water, we are grateful for the blessings and assistance. We welcome your presence into our circle, Aho. O Spirit of the North, the place of wisdom, knowledge, and discernment, the place of the grandmothers, grandfathers, the ancestors and the ancient ones, the physical realm, the place of rejuvenating rest, place for slumber, stillness, inner wisdom, North Star, and the place of mystery. We call upon the record keeper, the whale, and the stone people. I want to encourage you to listen deeply. The answers are there. We humans, we just forgot to listen deeply. And we call forth the buffalo, this beautiful sacred animal. The medicine of buffalo is prayer, gratitude, and praise for that which has been received. Spirit of the North, element earth, we are grateful for the blessings and assistance. We welcome your presence into our circle. Aho. O Spirit of above, Father Sky, Star Nation, Celestial Host, the Angelic Realm, Divine Consciousness, sky beings, light beings. The countless stars of the night reminds us that you are vast, that you are beautiful and majestic beyond all of our knowing or understanding. Your light shines up in the earth both day and night, guiding our steps, watchful guidance over our life path. Thank you. We call upon the star people who teaches us to think and dream bigger. Spirit of above, element ether, we are grateful for the blessings and assistance. We welcome your presence into our circle, Aho. O Spirit of below, sacred Mother Earth, beloved Gaia, the sacred core, you support us each day, welcoming our roots deep into your heart. You nurture and guide us, finding sustenance and support. We call upon the standing ones, the beautiful tree beings. Teaches us to be deeply rooted and strong, while at the same time stay flexible like the branches in a storm. Spirit of below, element organic, we are grateful for the blessings and assistance. We welcome your presence into our circle. Aho. O Spirit of within, a place of balance, sacred union, the within and without, the oneness, divine feminine, divine masculine, God and goddess, yin and yang. Spider woman who weaves the web and mends the broken threads of life. The place of timelessness, the place of the void from which all things are born and to whom all things return, unconditional love. Let's be grateful for this gift of life and for the love that guides our way. We open our hearts and join with all in love. We call up in unconditional love. Spirit of below, element magic, we are grateful for the blessings and assistance. We welcome you into our circle. Aho. Aho, Metakwayasan, we are all related. So the directions are called, the circle is cast, and we are now in sacred space. With this, I want to invite our first speaker for tonight, that he shares his wisdom with us. Let me introduce you to Dean Luprini, who shares with us tonight, unifying the inner and outer song lines. Welcome, Dean.
Yeah, hi there, Annika. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for having me join this group of amazing people as we share our gifts with each other. And welcome to all the children of the earth. It's been quite a journey the last couple of months, and I'm going to share with you hopefully some insights to how to better find our center within ourselves and to unify our inner and outer song lines. In other words, who we are and how we can better fit into the universal choir. So my understanding is that we are all very much the song of light from that very first pulse of creative song that came from the universe. And at this time, we find ourselves very, very rocked, and many of us have lost our central core light, our connection to the universal song. So I work energetically and shamanically with the sacred sites in Southern Africa, and the best way I can relay this message is to share with you some of the teachings that Mother Earth, Father Sky has shared with me. So I'm going to share a screen, and I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me about 12 years ago. Okay, just tell me you can see that picture. Thank you. What you're seeing here is a picture of the Earth, and there is a massive double helix, a golden song line, even though it's marked in red on this particular map. And I'm going to read through this. 12 years ago, when I was in a pre-dawn meditation, I had a vision of a gigantic angelic being about 500 meters tall that was standing in the middle of this ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. And this great being was standing firmly braced with two golden ropes wrapping around either shoulder, with the ropes firmly in their hand. And one over each shoulder, like massive mooring ropes that were used to keep a ship steady in the water. These two golden ropes wrapped around the earth in a massive double helix like a Pisica infinity symbol, and was holding the earth steady. And this was at a time when the earth was both physically and energetically shifting and in great flux. The human civilizations of the planet were also about to enter a great economic shift. I was shown that this massive golden rope was in fact a golden unified healing songline, a form of ley line around the earth, anchored in at various sacred sites or nodices and energy centers. This golden songline sings its unified song to the earth and all who reside on her, in order to continually assist, especially us human beings, to acknowledge our individual and collective woundings, physical, spiritual, energetic, and emotional, and in so doing, unifying the polarity consciousness and further strengthening within us a deeper understanding and awakening of this God center, this 0 point, the divine sacred fulcrum within us, the golden thread that centers itself between our daily interplay of polarities, bringing an awakened, conscious, balanced, and more harmonious engagement with the yin and the yang that enshrine us. And I was asked by this great angel to lead people to these sacred nodices, these energy and acupuncture points along the two golden ropes, to add and to unify people's individual and collective song to these golden song lines. This will not only strengthen this unified centeredness within us, but add volume, amplify, and increase the unified songline's size, strength, and its reach. In so doing, more and more people will hear this unified golden songline as it vibrates, engages, and resonates through the land, hearts, and souls of others, creating a unifying frequency, a song of healing within those who hear. This was a time that the golden healing songline's volume needed to be turned way up. And this time is now. So that was something, a vision that I saw 12 years ago. And when we work with the inner and the outer songlines, we know that all's connected. So on some level, you have to know that actually we all probably that angel standing in the middle of the ocean and trying to bring ourselves into balance during this time of great shift. So that was 12 years ago, and I believe that this has now really come to the fore. And it's a time that we need to realize that we are really this amazing song of light. And here I will show you a ripple effect, if you like. And this is the ripples that was taken in the water. And this was done at a sacred site called Driekops Eiland, which is in the Kimberley area. And there is a petroglyph site here with about 5,000 shamanic petroglyphs, in other words, rock engravings on a slab of black mudstone that was scraped by a massive glacier, a glacial bed. And this actually looks like a massive serpent that lines the bank of the river, and was a ritual site that is believed to be for rainmaking. And recently I've run a couple of journeys there, and the petroglyphs that intrigue me the most are these ones here that show basically a circle, a drop, that like a ripple in the ocean, a drop, and concentric circles going out. And I've also been shown how they used to work with this and the ocean and doing the ebb and flow of the river and using it in their rain ritual. But it symbolizes basically life. Water is life. So the first raindrop, when it hits the water, creates this pattern, this resonant pattern. And we, as beings of the universe, are a part of this song of light. So it doesn't matter where you are, where you find yourself on this expanding circle of consciousness, you will always be a part of that original soul note. So you're all part of the universal choir. You actually have no choice in the matter. And the more that we start to realize this, I'm trusting the better we will be able to share our own individual unique gift and song with our friends and with the world today. So the voice of our creator, we are a part of this body of the universe. And at the moment, there's a bit of harmonic discord, if you like. So we are in a time where we've been swayed with the polarity, duality consciousness so much. Everything is black or it's white. It's right and it's wrong. And they did it. This one did it. That one did it. So we need to move into a more unified vibration within ourselves. And this is our sole purpose. We've been birthed by spirit as a soul that's come in with our own little toolkit. Some of us have got the spanner and the shifting spanner, or the pair of pliers, or the hammer, a bit of Venus, a bit of Mars. And these are the gifts that we've come in to share. But we've forgotten our soul note, how to actually express our song in the world fully. So what we're experiencing now with this coronavirus and other cataclysmic events that have happened is opportunities for us to, in the chaos, in the great rocking, to find our core light, the center within us. And in doing this, I believe we will be able to overcome the fear, and we will be able to stand up in our full power and sing our song loud into the universal choir with conviction. I'm just going to see if I had something else here. So, how can we better do this? Is to get out into nature, because at the moment the earth is singing her song loud and clear, and she does change her tune. The tune does change. So the earth song is part of the universal song, and of course we as earth beings are adding to the earth song, and we need to try to do the best we can to sing along with her. So go out into nature, get your body onto the earth, take your shoes off, touch the earth, smell the flowers, talk to the sun, talk to the stars, and start to remember who you are, and start to remember what your song is. And one of the a very gentle mantra that you can perhaps use for these times when you do get out into nature is one that was shared by a happiness guru from India, Guru Shiva, and the chant that he sings, I'm sure many of you will know it. It goes, so so, and basically it's very simple, but it says, I am that, as in I am the whole universe, and the universe is all me. So it goes, so So. And this will be a way that you can bring yourself back into your core of your being and be able to find yourself, remember your song, and come back. And when you realize that, you don't have any more fear, because it doesn't matter where you find yourself, whatever timeline, wherever you find yourself on this vibratory song of light, you can never be extinguished. Your resonance, your spirit, your soul will always be a part of that choir, no matter where you find yourself. So you don't be fearful for what is happening now. Just be at peace within yourself and know that you are a child of the universe. And I think that's probably my message for the day. So I can end, great spirit. Remember, I am a part of and singing and creating and shining my light with great spirit. Great spirit, song of light. Great spirit is within me and all around me. I have nothing to fear. I am hope. I am love. I have respect and compassion for all life is a part of me. Something like that. So blessings and thank you for your time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Brother Dean. Mm-hmm. And let's just take a moment, just that it's integrating. Okay. Dean, can you please stop your sharing, your screen sharing? Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our next beautiful speaker. It's Kali, and she will share with us graceful metamorphosis for changing paradigm. Welcome, Sister Kali.
Thank you, Annika. Thank you for hosting this beautiful summit. My name is Kali Satyagraha, and I am honored to speak to you about the magic and the medicine of metamorphosis for these times of great upheaval and transformation. There's absolutely no doubt we're standing at the dawn of a new threshold. Something radically new is birthing. And as medicine people, we view space and time with a much longer perspective than most people. As Brother Gordy said last Sunday, medicine people commune not only with the past through our revered ancients, the ancestors, we also commune with the future through the star beings who guide us onwards in an unbroken chain of interconnectedness. And since the dawn of time, humanity has transitioned through many thresholds. A societal paradigm shift is when everything we have known until now and believed to be true changes. Western civilization has evolved through the stone, iron, and bronze ages as hunter-gatherers. Then we evolved into farmers out of Egypt. Then we developed feudal systems during the medieval times. And then this magnificent flowering of the Renaissance under papal patronage, followed by Protestant Reformation, the Industrial Revolution, and presently we are in the information age, mutating and transforming into what? So let's just define what I mean by a societal paradigm shift. This is when the world collectively tips into a completely new way of viewing politics, economics, religion, spirituality, social and sexual mores, and our collective and individual identities. But I also believe there's another kind of paradigm shift happening where human consciousness itself evolves. And from where I'm coming from, it seems we've been through three major shifts. Firstly, as cavemen and women, Our consciousness was concerned primarily with survival, centered at the root chakra with a masculine orientation. Then we started forming families and tribes to improve protection. And so we evolved upwards into a matriarchal orientation, the second chakra, the sacral chakra. And this was all about we, the tribe. And then thirdly, with farming and the development of technology, we developed into self-individuation, which was all about me. Who am I in relation to the collective? So we arrived at the solar plexus with a patriarchal orientation. And what's interesting to note is that while the wheel of consciousness, of conscious evolution turns more slowly than societal evolution, both are now transitioning exponentially faster in what feels to me like warp speed. So my generation, the baby boomers, are the product of the Industrial Revolution, having lived through one major societal paradigm shift, from a mechanized society to the Internet of Things. But we haven't as yet lived through a major consciousness shift, although as medicine people, we've been preparing since the dawn of time for this eventuality. And now we find ourselves at the confluence of both a societal and a consciousness shift, a double whammy. And the question is, where are we going? And how do we support the billions of people terrified of this change and the unknown, who are living in perpetual fear, or what I call false evidence appearing real, fear? How do we assist those who are worrying endlessly about the futures of their children and the detritus emptying out of a corrupted system that's now thoroughly top-heavy, bloated, and power-hungry? And how do we do this without spiritually bypassing or creating fierce polarities of opinion, like Dean was speaking about? Firstly, we turn to our elders, our teachers, our ancestors, our guides, and the prophecies universal to all the ancient indigenous sacred texts and oral wisdom traditions. And of course, we turn to spirit, both the spirit of our beloved Pachamama Gaia, as well as the spirit of the great cosmos of Source. And secondly, we keep tending to the fires of our faith. We shed light on what has not yet been born by retelling our stories and singing our songs, like Dean says, singing the song lines and dancing our dances handed to us by the ancients and the star beings. We stay close to what we know and what we love, we who have the long view. So my favorite Medicina story for our transitioning into what I sense to be the coming of the golden Aquarian age of the heart chakra, 5D versus 5G, neither matriarchal nor patriarchal, but fraternal, unity consciousness. And that medicine story is the one of the caterpillar butterfly in metamorphosis. And the magic and the medicine of the story goes like this. The newly hatched little caterpillar crunches its way through its surrounding ecosystem, cutting a swathe of destruction by eating hundreds of times its own weight in a day, until it's too fat and bloated to continue. So it hangs itself upside down, and its skin then hardens into a chrysalis. Here, snug as a bug in a rug, it feels safe with all the energetic riches stored up inside its body, hiding behind the protective walls of its cocoon, believing itself invincible and immortal. ... But hidden inside the chrysalis, tiny things biologists call imaginal discs start forming out of nowhere and with no genomic connection to the caterpillar. So not recognizing these invaders, the caterpillar's immune system goes into high alert and snuffs them out as quickly as they arrive. However, the imaginal discs keep reforming. But the caterpillar has too much stored energy, so continues to easily defeat them. Yet, the imaginal discs are stubborn and determined and keep attacking until eventually, although small in number, they begin to connect and collaborate with one another against the caterpillar. It's this connection and collaboration that ultimately enables the relatively weak imaginal discs to overcome the relatively powerful caterpillar, whose immune system eventually fails from the stress. And the discs then turn into imaginal cells that will create the butterfly from feeding on the soupy, goopy meltdown of the caterpillar's body. When the butterfly is ready to hatch, the chrysalis turns transparent and the need for restriction has been outgrown. The butterfly's birth is connected to the breath. It pops the chrysalis by taking a deep, full inhalation and exhalation. And as the butterfly emerges, it is upside down, so it immediately turns the chrysalis the right way up, and in what biologists describe as a seeming reverence, it bows its head and it gives thanks from where it's come, whilst drying its wings before taking to the skies in joyous flight. So here's the wisdom of metamorphosis. It's only when caterpillarness is done that it becomes a butterfly. That is part of the paradox. You cannot rip away caterpillarness. It's the job of the caterpillar to resist the butterfly. But it's also the job of the butterfly to become stronger because of the caterpillar's opposition and to learn cooperation so that eventually the caterpillar's defeat becomes inevitable. The whole journey from caterpillar to butterfly occurs in organic time through an unfolding process over which neither has any control. If as medicine people we see ourselves as imaginal discs working to build the butterfly of a better world, we will understand we are launching a new genome of values and practices to replace that of the current unsustainable system. We'll also see how important it is to link with one another in this effort, to recognize how many different kinds of imaginal cells it will take to build a butterfly with all its magnificent capabilities and vibrant colors, which is why summits like this are so important. Thank you, Michelle. It's the job of the reigning regime to resist the emergence of the new system. This resistance creates a greater resilience and validity of the new system for the time when the shift happens. So during this transformation, we're constantly challenged by the old system. And recognizing that this challenge is in service of the new, it invites us to a place of deep wisdom rather than to a place of opposition or duality. The emerging butterfly paradigm will in turn evolve to birth its own caterpillar of resistance. We are all currently an integral part of this natural cycle of evolution, which will continue organically beyond us into the future. So one of the questions to explore out of the magic and medicine of the caterpillar-butterfly metamorphosis is, what thoughts, words, and actions are we embodying to be of service at this time? It's completely normal to be confounded by this chaos. The old system is clearly unsustainable, and the new system has not yet emerged, and it's not yet clear. And it's also difficult to define using today's words. Co-creating the language of this new system requires a patient space of exploration of the self, whilst also relating in community. How do we create and inspire spaces for this inquiry? Understanding the critical role of the chrysalis, that silent space in between two worlds, where although apparently there's not much happening on the outside, it is where the real transformation is happening on the inside. So I want to share to end a poem, very beautiful poem by Kim Rosen, and it's called In Impossible Darkness. Do you know how the caterpillar turns? Do you remember what happens inside the cocoon? You liquefy. There, in the thick black of your self-spun womb, void as the moon before waxing, you melt, as Christ did for 3 days in the tomb, conceiving in impossible darkness the sheer inevitability of wings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carly. Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's just breathe into that and give that a moment to integrate these beautiful words. Okay, we are moving on to our next speaker. Martin John Taylor, beautiful brother, you're sharing with us today, asking for what is true. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for your sharing. It's very beautiful, very beautiful. So yeah, the topic I've chosen is asking for truth. And so this begins really with, what are we asking for? So we're asking for something we don't know. It's not, so we're asking for something that's not our personal truth, it's not the truth of our body or this world. It's a truth beyond that. It's a truth of the self that is the heart of our being, the very life force that we are. What is the truth of that? And when I was talking to my wife the other day, and she had a book in front of her, which is a book that I have been using for many years, and she turned it to a page at the end of the book, and it was the Saviour's vision. And I thought, well, this is perfect for us as a group, because we all share the same vision. We all share the same Saviour's vision. And because of this vision, we come together and we join together. And join together must be one, because you cannot do things that are different. You can only join together what is the same. So the truth of what is in me, what is the very source of my life, the God self, is the same truth that's in you. And whatever pathways we're coming through, it's leading us to this point of understanding ourselves. And this is the meaning of healing, to come into wholeness, into unity, to be wholesome. And so we share this vision with each other, and we join together. And when we join together, it brings love. And when spirit comes together with itself, it creates love. Now, one thing that we was taught early on in school, in probably our first maths lesson, is 1 and 1 equals 2. So from right at the beginning of our education, we got it wrong, because 1 and 1 does not equal 2. 1 and 1 equals 1. You bring two things together that are the same and they become one. Only two things different stay 2. So our first math lesson taught us 1 and 1 equals 2, but 1 and 1 makes 1 bigger. It's just an understanding here. So we have two ways of seeing things. We can either see through our bodies and the wisdom that we think is in our bodies, or we can see through our spirit and look at the wisdom that's found in the spirit. If we look through our bodies, we see separation, because the body is a vehicle of separation. It separates the spirit into many different aspects, and it creates limitations and boundaries around us and around everything. So everything we see has a space between it, and we don't see that space. We don't see what connects us to that other thing. We look beyond that, we see separation. So because of that separation, that limitedness of the spirit, we experience fear and all the things that come from fear. We can hate each other because we see separation. We can harm each other because we see separation. But if we choose to look at our spirit, what is the spirit that's in you? What is the spirit that's in me? Then we're looking to join what is the sum together. So the truth is what is that? What is that reality? Tell me that reality. Because if we use the body, the mind through the seeing the body, the mind is limited, becomes limited by the body. And the mind of spirit is unlimited, it's abstract, it's completely open. So the reality of the self is the reality of our life. What is it that created our life? What is this very essence that's in us, in myself, and in every other living thing? What is this reality? What is the truth of this? And reality, because of that, joins all things together as itself. So it's a wholeness. And this is the goal of healing. And it's also the goal of forgiveness, because you cannot forgive what is the same as you. You can only judge against and hate what is separate. So you cannot forgive, you must forgive what is the same as you. Because it would be insane to not forgive yourself. And as we share the Saviour's vision, we are walking different paths, and we have different understandings of our paths in relation to the concepts that we hold about ourselves. And so in this way, when we come together, there's some teaching of the American Indians. It's always a tribe or something, I don't know what it is, but they mention the twisted hair, and it's like the braids of the hair, when they're all twisted together and they become one braid, they become strong and they become oneself. And this is where the wisdom is found. So I'm just gonna move this because I'm not seeing properly. So asking for the truth is really asking for what is that inside myself. And for the truth to be meaningful and to have meaning, it must be for everybody. What is true for me must be true for you, from the level of reality, from the level of our reality. Not the world's reality, there's lots of different truths there. But from the level of the self, what must be true for me must be true for you. And if it's unchangeable in time or in space or place or distance, then it's not true, because it's part of the world's truth, but it's not the truth of the spirit of the self. So the truth is meaningless if it's not true for everybody, because everyone is part of it. Everything that has life is part of that reality. And what that reality is the place of truth. So we believe in changing truths because we have different concepts of ourselves. A businessman has his truth and he sees his reality in his way. So what he thinks is saving him is through his own self-concepts. And a child sees their truth differently because they see their reality differently, because their concept of themselves is differently. And a teenager sees their reality differently. We all know teenagers. And the Jew sees his reality differently. So his truth is different. The shaman's truth is different again. And these are all like these fibers in this web of life. And when we bring them all together, we come to a fundamental truth, which is the truth of our being. So to ask for truth We're asking really to see our spirit. What is the spirit that's in me, and what's the spirit in you? Because if I look beyond my body and I look to that, I can only really find myself there. So asking for truth is asking for reality, asking for our reality. And the only reason we don't have that knowledge at the moment is for some reason we've forgotten it. When we separated into separate bodies with limited cells and limited minds, we had to change our beliefs to live in this reality. So we had to forget the reality of the spirit, the reality of the self, so that this reality could become real. We can't have two realities real and believe in both. We have to just have one reality. Like reality is a oneness and this is a oneness, but they're separate, different. So when we ask for truth, it's inside us. It comes from the very being of our self. And because it's part of us and we've asked for it, we haven't asked for all the other stuff to be true. But if we ask for the truth to be true, we're asking for the truth of our reality. And because it's been asked and it is part of us, it gets answered through us. And this has been a big part of my practice for quite a few years now. And it's so transformed the way I see the world. Like everything I ever learned before this period of time of a few years has been turned upside down and has taken a completely another different meaning because of kept looking at what that truth is beyond all illusions of the world. And so it's very transformative because it is the path of healing to know the oneness that lies within us. And it's the same oneness that lies within all life. So it answers all life as one. It answers every problem as one. Everything is seen wholly. And it's also seen wholly. You know, we see it's the vision of the holy self that has all knowledge. And because it's been asked for, it is given. Because it is our true nature. But it has to speak to us in ways that we understand. So its answers are always in a way at a level of our understanding. So if I'm a shaman in the jungle, it will come through the concepts of myself and I will understand truth through those concepts. And if I'm a yogi, it will come through the understandings of a yogi. And if I'm whatever I am, it will come through that. If I'm a child, it will come through my ability to understand as a child. And because it is part of ourself and it's willingly asked for, it's asked for truly, it is given. It is always given. It might not come in that direct moment, but it comes in days to come. And it always comes in unexpected ways, I found. Now, because we changed the meaning of everything, we changed the meaning of ourselves. So we've changed the meaning of our reality, and we've changed the meaning of all this reality. So we're teaching ourselves what this reality is. We're all born without any knowledge of this reality. And so we teach ourselves what this reality means. And what we've done is we've changed the meanings of everything to make them meaningful to us in this reality. And that has become confusing. So this person says this is true, and this person says this is true, and this person says no, this is how it is. And the way we do that is because we've changed the meanings themselves, and so we made them meaningful to our own concept of ourselves. And that is what that's the goal of asking for truth. It's an unlearning process. Because we're already that. We've already got the truth. We're already who we are. We're not anything else. We just got to unlearn all the other stuff we've taught ourselves. And I'm only saying this because this has just been such an amazing, incredible journey these last years of just keep asking for that, just keep asking for that. And because we're in such a challenging place in experience of life at the moment, you know, with all the things happening in the world, the coronavirus, this thing, that thing, politics, you know, people hurting themselves, murder, all the rest of the atrocities that go on. So there's good reason now to ask for truth. Ask for the truth that lies at the heart of our being. What is that? And because it's a part of all of us, when we receive an answer from that truth, it answers for everybody. So not only am I healed through the answer, but so are you. And so is everything that I'm connected to becomes part of my own personal healing. And so that way we expand our awareness into the world and we heal the world around us. Not that we have to do anything. We don't have to go and save anyone. We don't have to change someone's mind in politics or someone else's belief system. We just do it by sharing our awareness of ourselves. And so that's my little my little offering. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And many blessings to everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Martin, for this beautiful share.
Oh.
Thank you. Aho. Lovely. So the next one is a singer, it's Ruth Earhart, and she will share some songs with us. Welcome, sister. Hello, hello.
Hello, good evening. So I'm just going to start off with a Hunnikun song, and that's just, I suppose, because at the beginning of lockdown, I was starting to just learn a whole lot of Hunnikun songs, and it was just really wonderful to be able to sit in my garden every day. And we had these birds that would come every day and sit on the honeysuckles and just play. And so it was just really wonderful to be able to sit in the garden and sing to the birds. And what I love about the Hunnikun songs is it's really just about that connection and reverence for nature, reminding us of our connection to the sun and the earth and the water and the earth and the forest, and that we are that. So I'm going to sing a little bit about that. And I hope you can hear me okay through Zoom. Housh. And thanks to Colin for singing along and playing some protea leaves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. That was amazing. And yes, I was like, oh, there's a guest. There was some Krellin in the background. Wonderful. Just settled in again. Yeah. Wonderful. So let's continue our journey. And the next one who wants to share his wisdom and knowledge with us is Tristan, and he will speak about community and serenity. Welcome, Tristan.
Yes, top of the evening, Annika. I'm very excited to be here this evening. Thank you very much all for showing up for this wonderful moment. I feel a big shift happening in the world right now, and I feel very honored to be a part of it, and just to share some of my insights and a little bit about my experience of how I became sovereign in the sense of living off the grid and attaining a certain sense of material and spiritual freedom. And I feel very, very blessed to have manifested, which I set out to manifest, and that is to live in beautiful nature and live an off-grid lifestyle. And I'd like to share a little bit more about the excitement of what that brings. It's just such an amazing feeling to wake up in this space and just be a part of this great change. So I would like to share a little bit about myself, how I got here, and a little bit about my mission statement and my vision for the future and the collective movement in towards a more self-sustainable lifestyle. So before I begin, I just would like to extend my gratitude to all the back end work that has created this amazing platform of speakers and healers, and to Great Spirit for holding us through this wonderful time of great change, and really just to everyone who's been assisting in this transformational process for me and for others who have learned from them. So yeah, let me begin. 20 years back, when I was 17 years old, I had this very profound experience, and I saw what I needed to do. And that was to become part of and help create a sustainable community. I went on all sorts of road trips and missions to see if I can find a community that is actually living off grid. You know, someone or some community that's made it, or someone who's actually pulling it off. I was very excited because I thought there were loads of people out there who were doing it. Well, let me tell you, there really aren't many people out there who are doing it. And it was quite an amazing moment to see that you can't really follow anyone. You really have to step into this all on your own. And that was quite a reckoning, you know, just to fully embody that this is something that you're not going to be able to necessarily join under someone's wing, but may have to step out on your own and do it. So I'm very excited to just share a little bit about community, because I feel that we're all heading towards that way. You know, many people are getting a bit tired of the old systems that are clearly crumbling, that are clearly not going to work much longer, or already are not working. So, you know, here where I live, for example, there's a certain kind of community setup where we all have freehold land and we all live as neighbors, but we have no jointly owned piece of land where there is a sort of governing body or a matriarchal, patriarchal system, you know. So we are able to make our own choices and develop and handle our own farmsteads, if you will, and collaborate where we feel we can come together, you know. But we don't need to work in a certain dynamic where meetings must be held before any large decisions can be made. So I find that this particular setup has been working very well, in the sense that there are other communities out there that have formed the most beautiful systems that hold them together. And I myself am yet to experience that, because I have found there is always a little bit of politics that arises within these communities, especially if there is a kind of governing body. It doesn't really work for all. I would like to get into that a little bit later. In the meantime, I would just like to just share with you that there's really an insight that I found made it super possible for me to exit my city life. I had a business in Cape Town building timber frame homes, and I trained as a carpenter and a joiner. And what I found was really that success is not the key to happiness, but rather that happiness is the key to success. And that if you love what you're doing, you will always be successful. And this really set me onto a beautiful path where, and I must add this, it was very much a spiritual journey. And it's been a wonderful healing journey of that. And this wonderful message came to me one day that kind of laid it all out for me, you know. It kind of just brought me back down to earth. And it was something like this, you know, as the wise man said, before enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. And that made me think a little bit about what's going on with this wonderful journey that I'm on. And you know, by this understanding, I think we can face the real task at hand that we're all currently facing now, as to which direction to go, you know, if we should try to change the community that we're in, you know, uplift, help feed, continue pouring energy into our existing communities, or if we should maybe start something new on a blank slate, you know. And really, right now, I feel that we can manifest this just through our beliefs, the collective beliefs. And it's really the law of the universe to bring forth that which we desire, as long as we are specific enough and believe it strongly enough. This manifestation is already happening. And so I'm here today to just share with you that this manifestation of your beautiful dream is completely 100% possible. And in fact, it's already on its way. So I was sitting under a tree one day, an oak tree, can you believe? And I came up with this very simple analogy, which I find to be quite helpful. I call it the cup of abundance. Who doesn't want a cup of abundance? And if you can imagine your life as a cup full of resources, money, love, healthy relationships, great food, lots of fun. This is our cup of life. Now imagine that our cup of life has tiny little holes, little pinprick holes at the bottom. And each one of those little holes represents a debt, a monthly repayment, a expenditure, whichever one you want to look at it, but an expense. Then imagine a few more tiny little holes in your cup, which can be attributed to unhealthy relationships, a bad habit, maybe some unresolved arguments, a pain body that needs attention. These are more of these little holes. And really, you know, every day we're needing certain resources like food and water, electricity, all these things. These are all little energetic drains that we have in our life. And I feel that at this point, it's futile to try and keep filling our cup with resources to replenish that which is leaking out, you know. So I would imagine we all want a full cup, perhaps even an overflowing cup of abundance. But with all these energetic drains, these leaks, it's impossible, and it's very tiring, exhausting, in fact, to continually have to top this cup up. And I feel that right now there's an opportunity for us to plug up these holes, you know, to make an asserted effort to not run around like headless chickens for however long, perhaps forever, and actually concentrate more on what we need directly, and actually removing the layer of money from between us and our direct needs. So for example, you know, our direct needs are really not that grand if you put them on a list. You know, we need some simple things like food, water, shelter, a little bit of warmth. We need various things that we can actually get hold of through working, but also through directly going to the source. You know, we don't need to pay for food forever, nor water, nor electricity. So what I'm suggesting here is simply creating a moment and a stand that we can all begin to get our cup of abundance full and overflowing. Because clearly we can't help and be of service to anyone if we are continuously trying to replenish our cup. We can't give other people more to pour into their cup if our cup is always leaking. So it's really quite an amazing analogy. It's very simple, and I think it's actually a magnificent journey of self-healing, which I myself have personally experienced, you know. So yes, we definitely need to identify these energetic drains and sever the cords. I believe that's really the first practical step. You know, we have many spiritual steps and shadows to face, but I feel that on a practical level, you know, we cannot truly enter into our ascending spiritual bodies unless we have also taken care of some of the physical matter drains that are holding us back. So there's this beautiful duality between the spirit and this three-dimensional world that we need to essentially marry together. And this has been my journey to be a kind of a bridge between those who are stuck in, let's call it the matrix of of materialism and the spirit realm. So there's a few things that I feel we can really do that can help us in our evolution to become completely off-grid and self-sustainable, and that is, you know, letting go of security from others that are not in our vibration, because they simply cannot really understand our needs at this time, and not relying on them, I feel is a freedom, you know, where we can turn to community who are in our vibration. This immediately allows us to be far more flexible and far more of service to others. So I would like to suggest that if you are not loving your job, a very major pivotal point would be to quit your job immediately. I say that with a bit of hesitancy, but I can honestly say that this one step in itself can really transform one's life, and I believe that this is the moment to make that change. So there's many of us who have taken the leap and the plunge, and it's not as scary as one thinks. Now, I would like to share a small insight, or an analogy rather, about this transition period, because really we're in a transition at this point, and I'd like to explain it a bit like this. Imagine you are rock climbing, and you're on a face, and you're on your way up to the top. There's an amazing gift waiting for you, and you get to a certain place where you cannot actually reach the next grab hold unless you let go of this position over here. And by letting go of this position, we are actually able to reach to the next grab hold. Now, what I'm saying is, I feel that for many people, this is the moment that is very scary and risky, to let go of what we have now and to grab hold of that which we desire and want to manifest. So really, you know, at this point, it's so important just to remember that Spirit is there for us, and she wants us to take this leap and to make this jump. And perhaps important to remember that we cannot really hold on to the old ways and invite the new in and hold it all at the same time. You know, we need to clear the space and make room for this new life. So there is a moment where we will be in between. This transition period, like I say, is a scary moment for most, and it's really actually not as scary as you think. When you first let go, you see there's a lot of support on the other side, actually willing to grab your hand and assist you in your transition. So I have so much to share about this, but there's not enough time, so I'm going to just focus simply on a couple of top tips, if you will, or rather just ways to empower you to make a confident decision and hopefully channel your resources into the right direction. Because truth behold, this takes a bit of money or a bit of resources, and unless I'm speaking to extremely wealthy people, I would like to say that there would be a time that the money could run out when trying to pursue this life of living in nature and living off of the earth, being closer to the earth and the sky. So there are 5 little guidelines which I felt really can help us just lock down a sort of program or a method or route to getting from where we are now currently present to where we are wanting to go, you know. So the first thing really is to be able to just sit down and meditate and have a moment to envision your dream, you know, to truly see what it is that we have to do. And what we can do is write down and make some drawings and get into the fact that our manifestation is already on its way, just in this process. Now, just a little side note, if anyone is interested in community living, is that, you know, if you make any agreements with friends or family, it's possible that your arrangements may change in the future, and that your agreement will probably shift, you know, and it's good to plan for this from the start. So unless there's a jointly owned communal farm that is governed by a round table decision making, a table head or matriarchy or patriarchal system cannot ever work for all. You know, it's a bit like Carly said, it's a unity consciousness for all. This model is really the only way forward now, I believe. We then need to back engineer this beautiful vision into the present moment, pull it to bits, you know, like a puzzle, and identify our needs. I find this is quite an important thing, to separate our wants from our needs, because when it comes to focusing our resources and energy, our needs are actually of a higher priority initially. You know, the big shiny house, the latest solar system, the 4x4 you've always dreamed of, all of that can wait. You know, there's a few things we really need to get close to us so that we are empowered to be sovereign and really independent when it comes to relying on those who are not in alignment with us. So I would like to basically just, you know, mention that there are a bunch of things. I can't go through them all. In fact, hardly any of them here, but imagine just getting some fire cooking stuff together, cast iron, pots, pans, perhaps the right vehicle. You can do these things now if you don't have the land, gathering books, information, even self-empowerment courses. And on that note, I would just like to share that, of course, we would all like to be in a situation where we can barter and trade and be of service to one another. So becoming valuable in a community, I think, is of utmost importance, and to focus on an offering that you can share within a community, be it honey, be it, you know, your wisdom of medicine, be it you're an engineer or a builder, or, you know, you're a midwife. There are so many beautiful things that a community needs, and I think to be a jack of all trades is nice and handy, but I think to become a specialist in one field is extremely important. So anyways, I would just like to bring in my closing here, and really actually just share with you that you know, when it comes to community, we can ask ourselves, what is best for my earth? You know, my nature. What is best for my village and my family and myself? Because really, it's not about personal gain at all, but what's best for all, and of course, the highest possible destiny for the planet. So I'm very excited to serve my mother, the source, and right now I am enjoying this beautiful spiritual journey and invite all of you to come into nature, because this is where it's all at, being close to the mountains, the rivers, close to the earth, understanding the soil, the microbiology, understanding all of these things makes such a difference, because, you know, once we are connected to the earth and the sky and are living off of the earth, you begin to see and do everything completely differently. And it's been such a journey to understand and work with the seasons, you know, temperatures, the weather patterns, and to understand that which is in the ground, all the little microbes. This is amazing, you know, working with medicine and so on. It's great. All right, so of course our economy is on the verge of a shift, and I believe that at this point sacred economics is something that we can all look at, and it's something that I believe we're going to be working towards. So I'm going to just come to this point of, it's a small short story about an islander and a tourist, and it's really important, I feel, in creating a simple life and not overthinking and overdoing things. And really it's quite an amazing way to look at things. So imagine there is an islander who is sitting on a beautiful tropical beach under a palm tree, and a tourist walks past on holiday, and he cannot understand how this man can just relax and be so humbly happy under this tree. He asked the man, how can you do this? How can you relax and be so content all day on this beach? The islander turns around and says, well, you know, I go fishing in the morning, I come back, I give the money that I get from selling the fish to my wife. She goes and buys food, and I come and relax on the beach. And this tourist is so shocked at how this man is so happy. And he says, well, don't you want more? Don't you want perhaps a fishing fleet? Don't you want to get another fishing boat so you have more money, etc.? And the islander says, well, you know, and then what? And he says, well, then you have more money, you can have more free time. He says, but I already have so much free time and I'm happy already. And this tourist says, you know, you're absolutely right. It's the long way around just to get back to the same point. So it's really quite a beautiful story. And I'd just like to share with you that I have a very big fire burning in my heart, a home fire that I've lit now for quite some time. And I wish you all the best in returning home after the long night in the cold, and I send you strength and grounding for your journey ahead. So we are tribe, and we are beautiful and sovereign. And I would just like to say that I love all of you, my brothers and sisters. Oho, we are one. Thank you very much.
Aho, thank you very much, Tristan. That was very inspiring. If anyone after this talk and the next days, weeks, whatever, quitting the job and starting something, please let us know on the Facebook. I really would like to have some information if someone now really finally followed it and do it. Okay, so the next share is from Michelle Reed, Dancing Heart Spirit Woman, Finding Our Way Home. Welcome, Michelle.
Aho, thank you so much, Annika. Thank you all for such beautiful shares. And, you know, the dream vision of the summit is all about this co-creation. It's all about this co-creation, and may these microcosms of circles and sharings and knowledge and wisdom being shared, may it go out into the macrocosm So I feel so very blessed to be here tonight. I'm going to be talking about finding our way home. I reflected on that and I thought, maybe I should have called it finding my way home. But maybe there can be some resonance and alignment. If you hear me sharing from this very personal share. And, you know, I think storytelling and the experiences that we have in life, you know, there's a resonance when we share from our hearts. There's a resonance when we share our stories and our experiences. So this topic of mine, finding our way home, it's really, there are three parts to it. And the first part is the pathway in this life that I've been blessed to be walking, which is the Native American pathway, the teachings that have come into my life and come in as a compass, come in as a, you know, as a guide, these beautiful teachings to help me find my way back home. And myself and my beloved husband, we did just leave our jobs, my beautiful brother Tristan, and it was exciting. We followed our heart's calling in 2012. That was our first massive shift. And we created our dream vision, the dream seeds. In the East, we dream. And we created this vision and we ticked a lot of boxes, you know, conscious, mindful, organic gardening. We ticked a lot of boxes, but we weren't essentially on a spiritual pathway. And that was a massive initiation for us. I like breaking that word up into in it action. We were in it and we were chasing this dream. This dream was so big. And a lot of you will know that are friends of ours, Avalon Village. It was a massive, beautiful manifestation of our true heart's desire, where our gifts could shine through. And it connected us with so many beautiful people and so many beautiful medicines. And it's so interesting, you know, that at the time, I didn't realize it was an initiation. When it fell apart and when everything, you know, turned into ashes. Only a few years after that, I looked back and realized, oh my God, that was an initiation. Because what happened after that, in that crippling state of losing everything, the shamanic death we speak about now, which can happen financially, which can happen emotionally, which can happen relationally, which can happen physically with what we had created. It's in those moments that we've got to find the faith, tap into the faith. And that's the hardest calling of spirit, because that's when we have so little left. The dream was gone. These beautiful tendrils that grew up were just receded, and we couldn't understand why. When we were following our hearts and when we stepped out, why did this happen to us? But then this lifeline from spirit came in, this lifeline, this word 8 years ago, shamanism and teachings, and a whole lot of new words came around at that time, that massive shift in humanity. And it was that word that spoke into my spirit and called me into those teachings. And once I embarked on that path 7 years ago, it was like my whole soul, my whole spirit was filled up again from this complete devastation and deflation and disconnection. And it was blown up again with one of my first trainings that I went on with the drum, to journey for our power animals and to journey for my spirit teacher. And that inflated my spirit up again, so that we could continue the dream. We could get back up, dust ourselves off, see the lessons, see the blessings, and continue. But this time as a co-creation with spirits and the unseen realms and the ancestors and Pachamama and all of the kingdoms. So my message is what it did for me in my life. 7 years ago, I went on to it as a personal healing pathway, and it has opened my life up. I tell you what, when you pray to be in service, you got to be careful what comes back at you. You got to be careful what you pray for. And when you're praying with the sacred tools, and when you're praying in ceremony, the universe and spirit says yes. And all of that preparation has led us up to this point where we are indeed in service, helping in the community, transforming our own lives, transforming our family lives. I'd just like to show you, and what I'd like to mention as well is this pathway has led me to places I never dreamed possible. You know, I have 2 most incredible student groups that I train now in these trainings, in these teachings. You know, one of the things my teacher said to me, dearest Robin, if you're watching, hello, beautiful Robin, grandmother, one of the things she said, you know, take these teachings and grow them. These teachings are not just for you. They're to be shared. And this piece that I made, this is a prayer stick that I made in September last year. We make a lot of our own tools, and it's beautiful through this creative process what comes through. So this was a prayer stick, and I love it. It's got this fork. It's got these 2 branches, and the one is this life of ceremony, the elementals. And this other is the teachings of the East and my family life. We all included on here, and my students and my original group of students. So what this portrays for me is, and then of course this is the medicine wheel, and Annika did a beautiful opening prayer dipping into the beautiful 7 directions, and I'm really skimming past this now. And so this is the bridge, the teachings, the pathway is the bridge. And that's the second pathway home, is we all know as medicine people or people that go to ceremonies, we bring our best into that ceremonial space. We bring our higher self, we bring our utmost integrity, we bring our utmost purity, and that calls us into the ceremonial space. And we sit in these ceremonies, whatever ceremonies they are, sweat lodge, sharing circles, talking circles, medicine ceremonies, whatever they are, in this place of purity and divinity. And how do we get that into our daily lives? How do we start bringing the ceremony into this one? So that is the goal for me. And, you know, we slip many times when we're in these beautiful ceremony spaces, and we come out and boom, life hits us and all our good intention falls apart. But we have choices in every moment to bring the ceremony in. And I feel it's happening more and more and more, just like the summit, bringing the ceremony in, bringing the teachings in to our daily lives so we can walk this path. And that brings me to my third part of the share, finding our way home. And I just want to say one more thing about the shamanism. I love what Brother Martin said. You know, when we come upon these pathways, we've got to suspend everything that we think we know. We've got to open ourselves up to the unknown, to all that we don't know. And it's a beautiful process of unraveling and shedding as we come closer and closer and closer into spirit, with this beautiful connection of all that is. So what I want to share with you about the third part of this talk is really a personal story. And I love it when our sister Nuna Isi shared last week, Sunday, about our wounds and loving our wounds and understanding our wounds, and how our wounds can really be the gift in this life as we try and heal the wounds and heal ourselves and become whole. And So one of my greatest wounds I received when I was 6 years old, and my mother passed through the veil. And I want to talk about my relationship with death that has accompanied me my whole life. And I think death is such a relevant topic in the ultimate metamorphosis that we go through as we transition through that door. And I think death is a very relevant topic right now with the virus. Doesn't matter the statistics, how many are real, how many aren't real. There are certainly souls that are passing through the veil at this moment in time, as this portal has been opened up astrologically. New souls coming in, other souls leaving. And we all, it's the one guarantee in life, we're going to pass through. So when I was 6 years old, I lost my mother. And what did death look like to me then? Oh my God, death was the most frightening thing. Death was the boogeyman. Death was my brothers and my dad driving away in black suits in a Dodge, very somber faces to my mom's funeral, not explaining anything to myself and my sister standing on the curb watching them go. Death was seeing my father kneeling at my mother's grave, broken, saying she's down there, she's not coming back, she's down there in the earth. That was frightening for me. That truly filled me with fear. Death was nobody's telling me it's okay. I just know that my mother's gone. One of the magical things my dad did tell me at that time was that in his beautiful way, it was that she became a bright star in the sky. And that's the way I've communed with my mother since the age of 6. So I'm very grateful for that, because I believe that's home. That's where the ancestors go. That's where we all go, back to the stars, back to the stars. So I'm truly grateful for always looking out at the cosmos and having these communions. That was my relationship with death. And my beloveds, I'm sharing this with you because death has been always with me in relationship. It's always been in the corridors of my heart. It's been in my shoulders. It's been around. So what did death look like for me when I was a teenager? And I was a wild one beyond my teenage years. Death, I flirted with death. I danced with death. I did some pretty crazy stuff that was harmful to my soul and harmful to my body. I could have said I almost had a death wish, and I nearly died a few times through not taking care. But spirit just pulled me back. I still had work to do. I had no idea what it was. Sitting here now sharing this story with you. Yeah. So that was my relationship with death through my teens. It's something that I remember from The Lion King. The hyenas, or one of them, was saying, ha ha ha, laugh in the face of death. Yeah, how many true words they have in those animations. So yeah, so what did death look, what does death look like now for me? What is my relationship with death? It's a lot sweeter, a little bit of a romance. And I come back to the Native American teachings and the connection to the whole sacred hoop of life and to the unseen realms and to my allies and my guardians. And I know that I'm going to be okay when I transition. Death is not such a scary thing anymore. And I feel very, very grateful through the wounding and the trauma, that I can now see the blessing, the gift of that, the gift of carrying death, been very aware of it my whole life. And, you know, one of my beliefs is that, you know, and I love the Pleiadians, of course, the star beings home. One of my beliefs is that, and they share it too, is that, you know, when we die, this vessel is the only thing that we leave behind. We take all our heart's knowledge, all our wisdom, all our wits, come with us. And as my beloved husband, he tells a beautiful story about his great-great-grandfather's morning dew wife who talks to him. They commune past the veil about ascension. Ascension continues after death, because we carry all these wits with us. We carry who we are. We carry the experience and our belief systems. So we got to start thinking about our belief systems and what we want to carry and manifest through into the afterlife. So there is a beautiful little preparation I'd like to take us all through in preparation for our ultimate transition, our ultimate journey home. So if we could all just come into yourself, just take a few deep breaths, coming home to your heart, coming home inside your body, coming into our natural state of grace. And I want us to journey along the timeline to that transitioning point. And it doesn't matter the circumstances, and it doesn't matter the age, but we want to move along our timeline, that spiral. We want to move to our transition point. And we want to find ourselves there. We want to move into our future self. And we want to share with this future self, because there are many ways that we can exit this world. It can be shock, it can be terror. If any of us are beautifully blessed to just pass away in our sleep, but to find that transitioning point, and to wrap love, beautiful rose quartz, unconditional love in that moment. And to share the message that everything is okay, that there is nothing to fear. There is only love. There is only love. And we will find the light and the winged ones. And we will find our way back to source. And I'd love you just to gift. I want you to feel in your hand now a beautiful rose quartz, unconditional love, heart-shaped crystal. And I want you to gift that beautiful crystal to this future you in this incredible doorway, this transitioning time, this gift of unconditional love and safety. And this message of it's going to be okay. There is nothing to fear. And this is a message you can implant. Gift it to yourself for the greatest transition of all. And take a deep breath in. Leaving this beautiful pink, unconditional love surrounded with beautiful angelic wings. And traveling back, traveling back, traveling back, coming back along the spiral of time to this beautiful now moment. Give yourself a smile. You can open your eyes, you can tap your hands, tap your feet, back in your body, back in this moment. So thank you so much for going on this little journey for yourself, for your time. That is all we need to know, is that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. I thank you so much for listening, for tuning in. And this is also a beautiful little exercise that you can do and share with people. And I wish you so much joy and excitement as you find your pathway in this life. And as you ascend in your pathway in the afterlife. Aho Mitakuyasan.
Aho Metaguyasan. Thank you so much, Michelle, for this beautiful share. Adding also your own experience and this beautiful exercise. Very, very beautiful and valuable. Thanks so much. I'm still integrating. Whew. Okay. That's the thing. I think it's quite challenging. It's so beautiful that we have different speakers and different topics, but my body says like, "Whoa, I need to integrate that a bit." But then I'm also checking the time, so we have to move on. So the next one is our beautiful brother Volker Schlettwein, and he shares about remember who you are. Welcome, Volker. Hi.
Hi, thank you. I think I might also need a moment to process what I've just experienced. Can you hear me? Yeah, good. Okay. Thank you. I want to thank all the beautiful beings who have put this together and all those who are sharing this experience with us. Personally, I'd rather be sitting around a fire with you all in the forest. After countless Zoom sessions, I'm still trying to get used to speaking into my computer screen, but there you have it. But I feel you all and I feel the love. I've taken a slightly different angle on my talk tonight because I normally just speak and share what's coming up for me to an extent. And this evening, I've actually put some slides together. I even surprised myself. So I'm going to jump straight in. I know that we are a little bit limited for time. So I'm going to share my screen quickly. And then I just want to bring up my slides. There we go. Fantastic. So guys, my talk this evening is about remembering who we are. I've taken a 50-minute talk and I'm condensing it into 15 minutes. So let's go for it. Remembering who we are. So I think a really good place to start is looking at how we arrive on this beautiful, beautiful planet. We are basically born, every single one of us, everyone who is watching this, we are born as creative geniuses. We are born into innocence. In no sense. We haven't developed the rational facilities and capacity to identify with separateness and the irrational mind that pulls us away from our heart space. So we are born in innocence. We don't have any judgments. There's no separation. We have a strong sense of connection and oneness to everything, including our superconscious, infinite in nature, always reaching into the highest levels of awareness. That is how we arrive. They've even done some incredible research. You know, there's a study that was conducted where they took 1,600 young children between the ages of 4 and 5. And the survey revealed that 98% of these kids were all functioning at creative genius level. Then they measured the age, the 10-year-olds, and they had dropped down to 30%. So only 30% of 10-year-olds had their creative genius capacity. By age 15, it was down to 12%. And by adult stage, we are sitting with only 2% of adults that have actually managed to maintain their creative genius. So why are we experiencing such a massive decline from being born in this creative genius and losing it so quickly? And it's really because we forget who we are. It's because of our conditioning, the conditioning we go through in our early life. There's a Mayan proverb that reads, "The future of the world lies in the child. Mother must hold the baby so that he knows that it belongs in the world. Father must take the child to the highest mountain so that it can see how the world is." Your mother's love shows you that you have a heart, and your father's love shows you how to take your heart out into the world. How we are held, nurtured, seen, and validated in those first 5 to 7 years of our life forms the very fundamental beliefs that we hold about ourselves. And if we have experienced any childhood wounding, keeping in mind, of course, that our parents, our caregivers, our ancestors, those who have come before us, have all got their own wounding and their own conditioning, and these things are always being handed down. The burdens get handed down to the children if we haven't done the healing. So there are very few of us who have not been raised with some sort of childhood emotional wounding. And it is this childhood emotional wounding and the fundamental beliefs that we form during this first 5 to 7 years that basically start to rob us of our creative genius. These fundamental beliefs happen to fit very nicely into the Enneagram. So we're not going to be going into the Enneagram. It's just a beautiful model to represent these fundamental beliefs that are sitting at the core of many of us, usually at the subconscious level. The Enneagram is a personality typing model that actually goes back thousands of years. The origin of it, the original wisdom of it goes back many, many years, 3,500 to 5,000 years, I think it is. So it's an incredible modality to explore one's own identity and personality. The limiting beliefs happen to fit very nicely into this structure. And I think many of you can relate to some of those beliefs that I've got up on the screen there. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't belong. I'm inadequate. I can't trust myself. I don't have the capacity. I'm powerless. I'm not allowed to be capable. I need to be perfect. So these fundamental limiting beliefs are formed in those first 5 to 7 years, and then they are reinforced in later years. What happens then is we start to develop, or we develop a personality as a defense against the identity. All right, so the identity is the formation of the limiting beliefs through those first 5 to 7 years that make up the identity. And then, of course, we want to compensate for what's lacking. We want to compensate for those unmet needs, so we develop a personality. And the personality, again, using the Enneagram, shows 9 specific personality types. And if you were to do your Enneagram, in fact, many of you have probably done your Enneagram, there's one specific personality type that you would most strongly resonate with. And then, of course, they lean into each other. So you might have a few of these personality types that resonate with you, but normally one predominant one. So we get wounded as children. We develop an identity. We then form a personality to compensate for the identity. It's a coping mechanism, all right? And then most of us spend the rest of our lives believing that we are our identity, living in the personality, in the illusion of who we believe we are, forgetting completely that we are creative geniuses, that we are multidimensional beings, at our essence, connected into spirit, connected into the universe, connected into allness, oneness, connected into everything. We spend our lives trying to resolve our identity. That is where we channel most of our energy, and we're not even aware of it. So the work that we're basically offering is we're helping people to remember who they are. There's a quote by Ram Dass, and I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but Ram Dass says, when we remember that we are the witness to the story and not the actor in our story, then everything will change. When we remember that we are the witness to our story and not the actor in it, everything will change. So the first thing we need to do is start to develop the awareness that we are not our identity. The woundings that we've experienced, the childhood experiences we had, those are all parts of a story. It's outdated information. That's not who we are. So basically, one aspect of this that I want to focus on in my chat is looking at the energetic blueprint. In fact, let me just mention this. There are 2 specific ways that we focus on helping people to remember who they are. And I talk about stepping out and clearing out. Stepping out is, as I was saying a moment ago, developing the awareness that I am not my identity. So when I'm busy making a choice, having the awareness, am I making this choice to resolve my identity? Am I making this choice to compensate for some unmet need? Or am I following my heart's calling? Am I following my true potential? And of course, we have techniques in the work that we offer to support these processes. I don't have time to go into that. I'm going to focus more on the clearing out. So the stepping out is really changing our perceptual space. It's changing perception. It's understanding when I'm in my identity and when I'm focusing on making big decisions, how can I step out of my identity so that I don't get caught up in resolving the identity. In other words, compensating for the woundings and the unmet needs through my choices and my decisions, which is really just feeding into the illusion. But I can rather step out, and through a particular process, I can access my innocence. I can access my superconscious creative potential and then make those big decisions. I want to focus this evening, in the short time that I have, on the clearing out, because that's the other way that we remember who we are. We clear out the subconscious conditioning. We heal the childhood wounding. I want you to think of yourself as an energetic blueprint, because everything is made of energy. And we have an energetic blueprint, which incorporates our physiology, our subconscious conditioning, all the programming that's taken place, all the emotions we've suppressed, all forms part of our blueprint. So when we are born, we are basically, Annika, will you just give me an indication when my time's up? Because I've lost track of time, all right? Where we are born in flow. We are born one with nature, right? So if you look at nature, when it's undisturbed, it is always in its natural flow. It wants for nothing, always abundant, until a foreign energy comes and disturbs it. We are born in exactly the same way. We are born in that high purple section, okay? In our creative genius, connected into our multidimensional selves, the eternal self, flowing in high vibration energy. As we then go through our what's called the individuation, that is that first 5 to 7 years, it's the individuation process, forming the personal identity. Through the formation of a personal identity, we already are picking up woundings and conditionings and limiting beliefs. Then as we grow older, we experience traumas and all kinds of experiences. Every experience we have carries both a memory and an energy, the equivalent emotion or the associative emotion to the memory. And a lot of our experiences end up being suppressed in some way in our body, impacting the energetic blueprint. So I'm not for a moment implying that we are here to only feel love and light and rainbows and sunshine and unicorns, all right? When we chose to come here, when we chose to embody the human form, we chose to feel our full range of emotions. When we lose a loved one, we feel the pain, we grieve. We feel the anger when we're on the battlefield protecting our families. You know, we are here to feel everything, but energy is meant to flow. Emotion is meant to flow. Emotion, energy in motion. So when I have an experience, if I allow myself to feel it fully, it will move through me and I will always naturally return to my flow state. When I start to suppress my emotions, this is one for the men in particular, right? We have been dealt a double blow because we have been conditioned. Boys don't cry, be tough. Vulnerability is weakness, okay? So we have a tendency and a habit to move away from our pain bodies, to avoid the pain, to not express. So as we accumulate these experiences, we are literally suppressing energy into our body. What I've got up on the screen there, which I haven't even actually referenced, is the emotional frequency scale, which was designed by Dr. David Hawkins, which actually shows the frequency of every emotion using applied kinesiology. Okay, a lot of research was put into this, so it's pretty accurate. Whether those numbers are perfectly accurate doesn't matter. It's still an incredible representation of what the energy looks like and how this can also symbolize what's happening in our own pain body and in our own energetic blueprint. So as we suppress emotion, we are locking low vibration energy into our natural flow state. Imagine yourself as running water. Imagine flowing water being your natural energetic flow state. Every time I suppress an emotion, every time I move away from my pain, I'm locking ice blocks, or I'm accumulating ice blocks in my water flow. And over a period of time, we, as I said earlier, we get so lost in terms of who we are. We believe we are some identity. We end up trying to resolve the identity. And on top of that, we try to move away from the pain body. We lean into addictions. We lean into distractions. We lean into anything that will numb the pain. The way back home, the way back to remembering who we are, is back through the pain body. So there are many things that are incorporated in this actual talk, but the one thing I want to focus on in these 15 minutes is the importance of feeling our feelings. Because every time I allow myself to feel a suppressed emotion, the very feeling of it is the releasing of it. And as these dense emotions are releasing out of me, I am releasing more and more resistance, and I'm making more and more room for my natural flow state. So practice feeling the feelings. So we need to sit in our discomfort. We need to surrender into our discomfort, sit with it. Sit with it and hold ourselves. When we allow ourselves to become the observer, in other words, going back to Ram Dass's quote, when I see myself as the witness and not the actor, I'm taking back my power. So I can literally sit and feel my pain, feel my sadness, feel my fear, and not believe that I am that, not get caught up in it. I can hold myself in it, and I can let myself feel it. So I'm simply holding a wounded aspect of myself. I can connect into my childhood woundings and hold the little boy that was abandoned. And the more I do that, the more I'm clearing my energetic blueprint and returning back to my natural flow state. Once I return back to my natural flow state, I'm increasing my vibration, and then I'm remembering who I am. I'm literally moving back into my greater multidimensional self, my expanded consciousness. I've got to stop there. This topic I can go on for probably 2 hours. But if anybody wants to connect, please feel free. We've got lots of different ways that we can support this journey. Thank you so much, Annika. Thank you so much all for this opportunity. I'm truly grateful, and love to you all. Thanks for this time. You can connect with me via the community group. My details are there. Thanks, guys. Lots of love. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Annika, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. I definitely would like to hear more. So thank you very much for also showing how we can get in contact with you, and maybe you put it later on the Facebook. Also for the others, if you want to, that people can reach out to you, use our Facebook chat. That will be definitely open. And also if the listeners have questions or want to get in contact with some of the beautiful people we are having here on board. So thank you. Good. So we will have another beautiful song. Thank you, Ruth, for coming back to us here. The stage is yours.
Unmute myself. Sorry, I just had to unmute myself. I had to reach around Callum. He's going to play along. So we're going to do a song called Little Brother, which is actually the Placenta song, which is written by Krallen. I think it's a little known secret that Krallen wrote a Placenta song at my request. I came back from a birth one day and messaged him and said, I need a placenta song because after the baby is born, so I'm a midwife for those who don't know, after the baby's born, there's the moment when the mother is holding the baby and bonding with her baby. And then at some point she births the placenta, the afterbirth. And the placenta has been the little brother or the companion of the child for the entire time that he or she has been in the womb, and being the life source and the heartbeat. There's also been a rhythm that's been very much the placenta's rhythm in the womb. And it's the only organ that we produce that we need for that time, and then we birth it and we say goodbye to it. So this is a song that says thank you to the little brother, because in many cultures it's referred to as the little brother or the little sister. It's also referred to as the tree of life. So we refer to these things in the song. brother, we were born from the same mother. Little brother, we were born from the same street. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Krellen. Beautiful share.
Thank you.
Okay, coming to our next share, Terry de Vries with the topic Pilgrimage of the Heart. Welcome, sister.
Hi, Annika. Yes, yeah, I hope you're all still awake because I'm yawning. It's very late for me. I'm normally in bed and dreaming at this time. So I'm talking my topic pilgrimage to the heart. My passion is labyrinths. So I'm going to shuffle some labyrinth cards and first get us a message. Okay, so it is Vessel. On my journey to self-discovery, I fill and empty myself continuously. As I walk, each breath I take reminds me that I am a spiritual vessel. And the one word is, it's not a question, it's just breathe. Yeah, so that's very nice. Yes, breath is sacred. And the labyrinth is a sacred space. And when you walk a labyrinth, you connect with your breath and you connect with your rhythm, with the pace that you walk. And as you traverse the twists and the turns, the breath and the rhythm and the pace of your walk help to clear your mind. It's like a walking meditation. So it helps to open up the possibilities. So when you walk a labyrinth, you walk and you can use emotions. You can walk through your emotions, especially now in the time that we are in this great awakening, or a time of the great pause, that we go through a lot of emotions. I personally also go through a lot of emotions. You go through grief, you go through anxiety, fear, anger, depression. And then you can walk the labyrinth to really embody that emotion. That, like Volker said, it's energy in motion, but you can embody that emotion, and you can walk through that emotion to walk it out of your body, to be able to get to love. And the labyrinth is a symbol of a pilgrimage. And as you walk the labyrinth, you walk to the center, and the center is your innermost center as well. So that's your heart. So you're walking on a pilgrimage to your heart. So as you walk through your emotions, you walk to your heart and you walk to love. Okay, so not everybody might know what a labyrinth looks like. So I just quickly want to share a picture. Okay, so this, one gets different types of labyrinths. This is a goddess labyrinth. So you can see it's built around a standing stone. So the path, even if you just look at the labyrinth, it brings some peace. It brings a quietness. It brings rest. Another example, there's different shapes. This is a classical 7-circuit labyrinth. And this one is also a classic 7-circuit labyrinth that I've drawn on the beach. And there is the pattern. So you can follow the line, and just by your eyes following the line, you will notice you start to breathe deeper, your heartbeat slows down, and you become quiet. You come to that beautiful, quiet space. That's your heart. That's inside your heart. This is a different labyrinth. It's one that the South African woman Claire Wilson designed. So it's called the Reconciliation Labyrinth. So 2 people actually walk it together. And I did this labyrinth for a wedding ceremony. This one I built at my sister's home in Nashville. It's a 5-circuit medieval labyrinth. So the medieval labyrinth is the most known labyrinth. That's the Chartres labyrinth. So this one is in Stellenbosch in Rustenburg. And I'm just quickly going to unshare, that you can see me again. So I mentioned it's a sacred space. The labyrinth is a sacred space. So what happens in this sacred space, the veils between this world and the next world and the spiritual world is very thin. You can meet someone that's passed over. You can hear voices. Anything is possible. I remember in 2003, my dad passed over in 2002. I went to walk a labyrinth just outside here of Barrydale in Namoonshoek with my mom. And when we started to walk, I could feel my dad with me. I could feel his energy very, it was very strong. And I thought, oh my word, how am I going to tell my mom that my dad walked with me? Because, yeah, I'm the weird one in the family. Anyway, so we got to the center and we sat down in the center. And then suddenly he left. And I thought, okay, that's weird, but I'm glad that he did come to walk with me. And when we finished walking, after we walked out again, my mom said, Terry, you won't believe it. Dad came to me in the center and he walked all the way out with me. So she also felt him. So that was really nice to see and to really feel somebody that's passed over that can walk with you. I said, okay, you walk through your emotions and you walk into love. You walk into joy and you walk into bliss. Being the sacred space, you also connect with the cosmic beings. Oh, my kop het uitgegaan. I've built a lot of labyrinths, and like Dean, working with the sacred sites, labyrinths I also find it's like acupuncture points on the earth, where it sort of anchors the cosmic energy, and where you can converse with other beings, with the star beings from home. So my topic actually is about how can we use the labyrinth to walk from this reality, from the 3D reality, and go into the 5D reality and anchor that. So at the moment, we're in the tunnel of 4D. Everything is a bit confusing, especially now with lockdown. But we are on our way to 5D, and the Earth is also on her way to ascend. And the one way that we can connect differently, so that we can connect with a 5D, is to reroute ourselves. So we need to, in 3D, we used a tap route and we rooted ourselves into Mother Earth, and we need to pull that up. And as you walk the labyrinth, you can actually visualize that you're pulling yourself up, you're pulling that tap root up and out of the earth, and we need to get a new root system. So it's called a fibrous root system. It's also called the adventitious root system. So it's with adventure that we're making a new route. So and as you make the new route, it's like the branches of a tree. You connect to the golden grid, to the song lines differently. You know, you connect differently to the earth. So then you connect to the song lines and you can find your song that Dean spoke about, so that you can really connect differently and find a new way of being. So with the labyrinth, I'm just going to share some more. With the labyrinth, you enter a space where anything is possible. This one I built on a farm in Prince Albert, and over here it was the first time that I experienced it. When we started to build it, echo started to become visible, or we started to hear an echo in the center. And when we've done the whole labyrinth, when you stood in the middle, it was as if the whole earth is hollow underneath as well. So that really showed me that being a sacred space, the labyrinth is not like three-dimensional or one-dimensional. It's really, it's a whole sphere that's all around you. So it's connecting to that sphere, and that sphere gives you the possibility of making magic, and of walking into magic, and of finding and remembering who you are when you walk the labyrinth. This is the Chartres labyrinth. It's a beautiful labyrinth in a church in France. This one is in Barrydale. And there's just the Chartres labyrinth again. So you can see the beautiful pattern, and the pattern helps you to remember who you are. And I hope my time is finished, I think. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Wow, incredible. Wow, that's fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that, Terry. Thank you, sister. Wow. Oh, again, some integration time, even if it's just a short one. I still see all this beautiful labyrinths in front of me. Woo! Yeah, and we are coming to our last share for tonight. Will be our brother, Bruce, and Bruce will talk about from love to love. Welcome, Bruce.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. Exciting. You know, many years ago in 1989, I saw a movie, Dead Poets Society, and everything changed for me. So today I'm going to invite you into a holistic virtual learning experience. And that's going to mean essentially that I'm going to invite you into an experience where you're going to see, you're going to listen, and you're also going to do. I also want to say that for those of you who've got a little CD holder like this with some toothpaste, just keep that close at hand, because we're going to deal with that shortly. Also, I'd like to say that a learning review of this whole session will be available from me on request. You just have to check out and send me an email to do that. Okay, so in my presentational blurb, I mentioned a few words. The one was an earth dance. The other one was the word edutainment. And the third one was related specifically to this dance that I'm going to be talking about. So let's just think for a little bit around what a dance is. Now, a dance involves different steps. And obviously, when you get the steps right, the dance becomes possible. Now, one interesting thing is this. that I'm going to be making use of a thing called a virtual dialogue. The other word for that is a virtuologue. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be asking you questions. I'm going to give you a short while to think about that question, and then I'm going to give some response to that. Now, you might be wondering, obviously with the setup, you can hear what I'm saying, but I can't hear what you're saying. But the good news is that I actually am a mind reader. Now, I know most of you are looking at me and thinking this guy's crazy. Well, I want to prove it to you. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to listen up, to focus, and to pay careful attention, and to do this exercise in silence. So I'm going to ask you to select a number between 1 and 9. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to multiply that number by 9. Now, if it has 2 numerals, add those 2 numerals. So you will now have a total. Subtract from that total 5. Right? Now you have a number, and I want you to convert that number into a letter of the alphabet. This is the code. If the number is 1, the letter will be A. If the number is 2, the letter will be B, etc. Right. So take your number now, that number that you've got, and I want you to think of a country in the English language, right, that actually starts with that letter that you have. So that letter that you've got, the country that starts with that letter. Now take the second letter in that country and think of an animal that starts with that letter. Now, in your mind's eye, imagine the color of that animal. There's a very good chance you're thinking of a gray elephant in Denmark, or alternatively, a brown eland in Denmark. Right, so on to my next word, which was edutainment. What does edutainment mean? Edutainment essentially means the ability to convey information in a fun, engaging, joyous way. Now, so that's quite important. Now I want to talk about what is holistic education or holistic learning. There's 5 components to it, and I refer to it as the big 5. The physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the social, the big 5. Now, I want to demonstrate to you using this rod. You'll see it's got pom-poms, it's got 4 pom-poms, and you'll see that these are connected. So let's assume this is the mind, this is the body, this is the social, this is the emotional, and this is the spiritual. I think you'll agree the mind and the body are connected, right? But so too are the emotions connected to it. So you'll see they all connected. Now, interestingly enough, I can take this one and I can see, well, do these 2 still remain connected? Yes, they do. Now, I've been talking about the emotional, social, etc., but I haven't been talking about the spiritual. So what is the spiritual component, the thing that seems to connect everything that is there? Well, it's a little bit of a mystery, but we sure know that it is there. Okay, so now I want to ask you an important question. And I'd rather refer to it not as a question, but as a ponder, because I want you to ponder it. I want you to think about it. So here's the first ponder. When you make a statement, as opposed to asking a question, what effect does that have on the person you are addressing? Think about that for a moment. Right. There's no doubt about it that when you make a statement, you make the statement and you close the door on it. The minute you invite a question, you invite a dialogue to begin. You invite the other person to get involved. So that's why I'm asking you questions around these topics, moving towards the concept of love. Also, the next ponder is the following. When you think of the word information, what do you think? Okay, so obviously information is important stuff, and we get a lot of information. The world's full of information. But I ask you the next question. What happens when you take that information and after the first N you put a gap between? You get two words, and the two words are information, which means not yet formed. So information is not yet formed. How do we turn information into formation? Now, in my title, From Love to Love, you'll notice that the first love was in lowercase letters. The second love was in uppercase letters. And there's a big difference between love lowercase and love uppercase. So I want to ask you, here's another ponder. What was your earliest recollection of something that you loved or loved you? Your earliest recollection of this love that you experienced. Think about that for a moment. In many cases, when I ask that question to people, they say very often it was an animal. It was a dog or a cat or something like that that they really felt a great love for. So I'm going to ask you for a moment to think about that. If it happened to be an animal, doesn't have to be, think about what were the qualities of that actual love. And so we're going to come back to that. What are the qualities of this love that I'm talking about in particular? Now, what I'd like you to do is to take your little cover, your CD cover, and what I'd like you to do is on the outsides of the cover, I want you just to put a blob of toothpaste about that size. So this is on the outside part of the cover or the holder. And then I want you to take the other part of the cover, and I want you to put them together so that they form a circle like that. And I want you to compress it as hard as you can. So try doing that. Right? So just do that with your sheet. Right. So push it down hard, which I'm going to do with this one now. I'm pushing it down as hard as I possibly can. And now what you do, once you've created that vacuum, once you've pushed down, what you now do is you start lifting the one side slowly, and notice what begins to emerge. You'll have obviously noticed it on your own when you've seen what it is. So that's what you get. You get this amazing fractal, which is the connected parts of this holoprint. So if you look at this holoprint, there's every part of this holoprint is connected, and the perimeter of this thing, the outside of this thing, is totally connected to every other part of this thing. And remember, this came out of a vacuum. Now, I want to show you a beautiful example of this. And where have you seen this before? Think for a moment. Where have you seen this before? in many, many different ways. Lightning, coral, there are many, many examples of this. Let me show you something where this takes 1.5 million years to create this. This is agate, and in the center of this agate, you can clearly see this amazing holoprint, this earth fractal. And then I want to show you what it looks like when it's done with acrylic paint. You can see how fine those beautiful little branches are on the outside. Now, in my opinion, when we take love in its normal context, that conditioned love that I was talking about earlier on, you basically have, let's assume it's a relationship between two people. You mix it up to connect the two, and you do this. And you just lightly put it on and you do that. That's what you get. However, unconditional love is something very different, because now what I do is I push this down hard and something very, very beautiful now emerges. Again. So our tendency to get stuck with conditioned love, with all its associated fears, assumptions, expectations, manipulations, is what gets the world into all sorts of trouble. So this is what I believe we need to do. We need to develop a higher and a purer form of love. I don't think there's anything more important that we can do than doing that. Right, so the next one, I want you to look at this. What do you see? Right, now most people would say they see a green apple, probably a Granny Smith apple. And obviously you're right on some level when you say you're seeing a green Granny Smith apple. But the reality is you are looking at an infinite number of apples. Because in this apple, there are seeds that have trees potential in them with all their apples. So you basically have an infinite number of apples in this one apple. And that's what we need to see love as. A lot of the time we see love as a single apple. In fact, it's very much more than that. It is a quantum apple. And so this unconditional love that we talk about is also this quantum apple with this fantastic facility. So my quest is to invite people to begin to look at the way they love, make it broader, more expansive, more impactful. And I want to end with a beautiful thing by a man who's written some really fantastic, fantastic stuff indeed. And he had this to say. He said, "The human heart can go to the lengths of God. Dark and cold we may be, but this is no winter now. The frozen miseries of centuries break, crack, begin to move. The thunder is the thunder of the flow, the thaw, the flood, the upstart spring. Thank God our time is now, when wrong comes up to meet us everywhere, never to leave us till we take the longest stride of soul men ever took. Affairs are now soul size. The enterprise is exploration into God. Where are you and you and you making for? It takes so many thousand years to wake, but will we wake for pity's sake?" Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Bruce. Thank you so much. Guys, I don't know how you feel, but I'm feeling quite overwhelmed and full of love. I definitely need some time to integrate with such inspirational shares we heard here. Thank you so much for all these beautiful shares. I want to mention these beautiful people again. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Carly, Martin, Tristan, Michelle, Volker, Terry, Bruce, and Ruth and Krellen for the songs. Thank you so much. As I really like to speak, but at the moment I really feel very overwhelmed emotionally and kind of speechless because it was so wonderful. Thank you so much. Michelle, thanks for taking this on. That you received the download, and that you said, yeah, it's a big thing. You know, you took the vision on, and with that the work, and you got beautiful support, like you know. So I also want to say thank you very much for the tech support and for everyone who supported that we got this beautiful summit going. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for the listeners, because without you, I mean, maybe we will meet here anyways. No, so thank you very much for everyone who stayed on it and listened to that, and also last week. If you want to listen to some parts again, it will be available on Facebook and probably also on YouTube. And maybe you haven't been at the beginning there. It is a summit of 4 episodes. So this one was the second one. So next Sunday, same time, we will have the third one. And again, it will be a beautiful lineup, that's for sure. And if you listen to Michelle's sharings, she mentioned Robin Youngblood, her teacher and teacher of many of us here. Robin Youngblood from the States will also be John. That's quite huge. But obviously, every share is such a beautiful one. Yeah. So we are almost at the end, so make sure that you're sitting comfortable, maybe shaking again. And yeah, just use this time together, just a short moment to integrate what we heard. And I want to close the directions before we call it a day here. Oh, spirit of within, where everything comes together, where we have the unconditional love. And I always see now the beautiful picture which Bruce just planted here. Spirit of within, thank you so much for your blessings and for your presence for today here. We release you from the ceremony. Aho. Great Spirit of below, Pachamama, Gaia, you are supporting and nurturing us. What would we do without you? Thank you so much for all your wisdoms and your blessings. We release you from the ceremony. Aho. Great Spirit of above, Father Sky, the star nations, this vast of emptiness and such a huge area. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Thanks for your blessings. We release you from the ceremony. Aho. Great Spirit of the North, the record keeper, the wisdom, the ancestors. Thanks so much. And especially today, I heard so much wisdom here in all of the different shares. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We release you for tonight for this ceremony. Thank you so much. Aho. Great Spirit of the West, the bear, the water, the reflections, the introspections. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. We release you from the ceremony. Aho. Great Spirit of the South, passion, creativity, playfulness, innocent, just behave without any patterns, get rid of the patterns, get into your body, play. It doesn't matter what other other systems and social things try to tell you. So just be in your fire. Thank you so much for your presence and for your blessings tonight. We release you from the ceremony. Aho. Great Spirit of the East, the eagle who flies high and see the big picture. And the beginnings, the new cycles. Everything is always in a cycle, and especially at this time, it's time for many of us in different kinds of things to start new things. So, aho, Great Spirit of the East, with all the new beginnings and the open horizons. We bless you and we thank you and we release you of the ceremony. Aho. Aho, Metaquias, we are all related. Thank you so much. And yeah, I would love to stay with you longer, that's for sure, but it's also quite late. So thank you very much. Thanks again for all the speakers. Thank you very much for the audience out there. We will see you next Sunday. Have a blessed Sunday night and a blessed week. See you. Aho.